The coronavirus pandemic has shifted many of our interactions online, with Zoom video calls replacing in-person classes, work meetings, conferences and other events. Will all that screen time damage our vision? Maybe not. "450 million people today face water shortages, but people in rich countries are wasting water. We are used to turning on the tap and having fresh running water whenever we want it. Each person needs 80 liters of water per day for health and hygiene. The average American uses 500 liters per day. It is precisely in observing the intertwining of success and failure that Chasing the Flame makes its greatest mark. With piercing insight, it reveals the pitfalls of international politics and details an intricate struggle between individuals and institutions. To work effectively with the heterogeneous student populations found in schools, the educator needs to understand and feel comfortable with all cultural backgrounds. They also must understand the cultural setting in which the school is located to develop effective instructional strategies. The current measure has remained virtually unchanged over the past 30 years. Yet during that time, there have been marked changes in the nation's economy and society and in public policies that have affected families' economic well-being, which is not reflected in the measure. The major influence governing the climate of a region is its latitude. the broad latitudinal division of the Earth's surface into climatic zones based on global wind includes the following main zones: the equatorial, the subtropical, the intermediate and the polar. It is important to know that saving is not the same as investment. Saving is about cash, while investment is about real product. The difference is important because money, being liquid, can leak out of the economic system, which it does when someone who is putting aside unspent income keep it under the mattress. I do not imply, for instance, that we should always suppress the utterances of intolerant philosophies, as long as we can counter them by rational argument and keep them in check by public opinion. Suppression would certainly be most unwise. The project will support activities that will increase and enhance the stewardship of aquatic species at risk in the Grand River watershed. The focus will be on enhancing water quality and aquatic habitat on private lands by offering rural landowners financial incentives and technical assistance to implement a variety of best management practices. Thus language acquisition might be like other biological functions. The linguistic clumsiness of tourists and students might be the price we pay for the linguistic genius we displayed as babies, just as the decrepitude of age is the price we pay for the vigor of youth. As far as politics go, the responses are just as varied. Mitigation is common and calls for a reduction of emissions and less reliance on fossil fuels. Coal-burning power plants are now replaced with hydraulic power plants, and electrical cars are replacing some gasoline-efficient cars. Many people, however, feel that this is not enough. Changes in climate can affect, for example, the plant and animal life of a given area. The presence of coal beds in North America and Europe, along with evidence of glaciation in these same areas, indicates that they must have experienced alternately warmer and colder climates than they now possess. Plato often explores the father-son relationship and whether a father's interest in his sons has anything to do with how well his sons turn out. A boy's social identity in ancient Athens was determined by his family identity, and Plato often refers to his characters in terms of their parental and fraternal relationships. Socrates was not a family man and considered himself as his mother's son. I was impressed by this evidence of liberal humanity in the character of the English, and thus I was led to set them on the pedestal of my highest respect. This generosity in their national character had not yet been vitiated by imperialist pride. About this time, as a boy in England, people who change languages before 6 years of age seem to be able to speak the new one perfectly, while people who learn a new language after age 6 retain their original accent. Henry was about 6 when he and his family fled to Germany. He speaks English with a distinct German accent, while his younger brother speaks without one. These decisions are highly nuanced. Of course, we use a lot of data to inform our decisions, but we also rely very heavily on iteration, research, testing, intuition and human empathy. Now, sometimes the designers who work on these products are called data-driven, which is a term that totally drives us bonkers. New research provides a solution for the century and half-old puzzle of why capillary condensation, a fundamentally microscopic phenomenon involving a few molecular layers of water, can't be described reasonably well using macroscopic equations and macroscopic characteristics of bulk water. Is it a coincidence or a hidden law of nature? Diksha PTE is a preschool special education teacher at the district's Colwick Center, where she works with students with autism and different health and cognitive needs. She says she strives to be inclusive in her teaching and believes every student has the drive and ability to learn. By the 18th century, market forces, together with institutional changes in landowning and land tenure, had brought into being an agricultural system dominated by farms that had grown in an average size and were mainly occupied by landlord tenants concerned with producing for the market.